today we have a special treat. We've got Randy Deal. Let's go. Randy is a very special person to me. He is the guy who first introduced me to Vision Arizona. I found it online, and it was his energy, his wisdom, his insight that attracted me to the network. I'm thankful to this day that Randy, God allowed me to interact with you first, because who knows what would have happened if it was somebody else.
You wouldn't be as near successful as you've been so far.
No, 100%.
No.
We're just, man, you're just a very special person to me. You're a very special leader in our network. And Randy is going to tell the story today about the very beginning of Vision Arizona, the very beginning of planting churches. In a lot of ways represents the network. I mean, you're that guy. You can correct me if anything I'm saying is wrong, Randy, but my kids love Randy. They call him Uncle Randy because he literally like just showed up in our life in a really big way when we first moved here. So to kind of explain what the podcast is about, we want to inject fresh vision into you. Without vision, there is no leadership, there is no momentum, there is nothing. And so the thing that you need to stay filled up with, we want to help contribute some of that to drip vision into you. Randy, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you. What are you doing right now?
Yep. I'm Randy. Happily married, coming up on 35 years, 5 adult children. 4 of them are married. Our youngest is getting married in May of this year. Woo. 6 grandkids, and they rule our world, and I love it. Been out here in Arizona since 2001. We came out to plant Rock Point Church. We met Vision Arizona after we got here. Vision Arizona, so way back, like in the late 90s, I don't know, 98, 99, somewhere around there, Converge nationally, at that time was known as the Baptist General Conference. They had this vision of, we've got to keep planting churches across the country or this association dies, that kind of thing. And they started gathering lead pastors together, senior pastors together in what were called lead teams. And lead was an acronym for something, I don't know, like learn, encourage, achieve, and dream, something like that.
That's not bad.
No, I mean, very 90s, but whatever. Well, when Bruce Sumner, our president of Converge Southwest, when he came to Arizona to get the current kind of 4 senior pastors that were in the Phoenix metro area, Lynn Winters from Cornerstone and Scott Rideout from Sun Valley, and the guy that planted Mission, and one other guy who had already started Desert View Baptist in Gilbert. He got these guys together. Would you start a lead team? Yes. But these guys were visionaries. They're still visionaries. They were like, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. And we're going to resource it. And we're going to put our money where our mouth is and those kinds of things. They even gave it a name, Vision Arizona, its own website, its own presence. Technically, it's just the church planting network of Converge Southwest for the state of Arizona. We have one mission. We're going to take Arizona for Christ.
Yes.
And that's going to take church planting, right? We know, there's all kinds of famous quotes from people that talk about, the single most effective way to evangelize in our country is to start new churches. And so that's what we decided to do. Well, we got here in 2001, a few years later, and Bill Bush, my lead pastor, he had known Lynn from youth pastor days. And Lynn invited us to a lead team lunch thing with a couple of guys. We went and just saw all the vision for this, the systems they were putting into place, assessment and coaching and funding and all these things. And when Bill and I drove away from that lunch, I'm like, Bill, we need to connect with these guys.
Wow.
And so we did. We had come out here with a different group who gave us a ton of money, like $250K.
Yeah. Wow.
But no coaching, no systems, nobody out here with us, that kind of thing. And hearing, like, Lynn had just planted Cornerstone and Scott had been part of Sun Valley from the beginning, and it was Superstition Springs Community Church at the time, but changed to Mission. But I'm like, we got to jump in with these guys. And so literally one of my first things as an executive pastor of a church plant was to hand them that $250,000 back.
Hold on. You gave the money back?
Yeah, we gave the money back.
And traded in to be able to receive the coaching.
Yeah, to we went back to fundraising. We had raised enough for Bill to be full time. I come out of healthcare. I'm a pharmacist. I'm
Yes.
still a pharmacist, so I do drugs.
You
I'm
look way
honest,
too cool to be a pharmacist, by the way.
I dispense drugs on the side. No, I did more pharmacy hours. 5 families that moved out here from Southern California. I mean, we were suffering for Jesus at the beach.
Oh my gosh.
And he
Why
said,
would you leave?
I know. He said, you're going to go to the desert. I'm like, wait, we were in the promised land. It was the anti-Moses. Like, we had to come back to the desert. But there's a whole story how Rock Point was conceived. But we did. And then we just started working with these guys. And so I'm in a room at Vision Arizona with a bunch of lead pastors like you.
Yes.
And which is like herding cats.
Yes.
Right? Visionaries, leaders, that kind of thing. And so I'm an XP. I'm the number 2 guy. That's how I'm wired. That's what I'll always be. And so right away, it was like, hey, Randy, we need you to just keep us organized, plan the things, take the minutes, do the financials, all that stuff.
Someone has to be the adult.
Yeah, someone has to be the grown up in the room. And so that became me. And so now here, 24 years later, that's what I get to do. And so, we were Rock Point. We were the 4th or 5th church in Arizona with Converge Southwest. And, look at visionarizona.com. There's 40 some. And now we're planting in Zambia and Kenya. And through Rock Point, we're about to go plant in the UK. And so, it's been an amazing ride.
This is crazy because not everyone plants churches. And you guys chose way back then, because you guys were pretty young then, right?
Yeah.
Like, how far in was Rock Point before you guys got involved in Vision Arizona and ultimately church planting?
Oh, it was in the first year. Like we had, I mean, there's a whole story. Bill worked for me at the church in Orange County.
Yeah.
And he was my youth guy. And then I moved him to family pastor and a bunch of other things and small group guy. And everything he touched grew and was healthy, and people met Jesus and life change happened. And I had been working with him, like, dude, you're going to be a lead pastor. You need to be a senior pastor. And so a couple years into that, he started interviewing for open pulpits in the American Baptist network there, churches that needed a senior pastor. And he had been doing some interviews, and he got offers, all kinds of offers. Well, I didn't realize this, but his wife, Carrie, had been telling him, I don't think you should do this. You don't want to take this old church, turn it around.
No.
You're going to be irritated with them.
Yes.
They're going to be frustrated with you. I think you should start your own. And anyway, so that had been planted by her. And then Bill and I and our middle school pastor, Todd, found ourselves at the first ever Catalyst Conference, October 2000, at North Point. Andy Stanley's church, Andy, John Maxwell, all the guys.
Heavy hitters.
First ever Catalyst. You had to be under 40 to even go.
Yeah.
I was barely under 40. And we went, and it was an amazing time. We're in the final session. The worship's amazing. And the final speaker, they wheel out Bill Bright.
Okay.
In a wheelchair, on oxygen, his nurse standing there. And he's telling us, look, me and Billy Graham and the guys, we're old now. You guys have to pick up this torch and take it. He literally had an Olympic-sized official baton, and he's pointing at us like, you guys have to take, literally, it's pointed right at Bill Bush. And he and I are standing there. And the worship starts, and I look over, he's crying, and like, I'm the crier in worship, not Bill.
I can't imagine Bill
and I'm
crying.
like, what's going on? He goes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm like, you're going to do what? He said, I'm going to start a church.
Wow.
That's where it started. And it was amazing. We get back to the hotel that night, and he's calling his wife. And this is something that he and Carrie were going to go do. And we get back. Oh, in fact, the next day at the Atlanta airport, before we head home, I had my laptop out, and I'm like, well, where would you plant? And I looked up the fastest growing family areas in Arizona, in the country.
So crazy.
And the 3 that came up were Gilbert, Arizona, Plano, Texas, and Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow.
And there was actually a church in Las Vegas that was going to give him a start. Like, there were already like 600 people there and all that.
Dang.
And he's like, well, I'm originally from Arizona. Maybe I should go back there. His parents were here, his sister and her family. And so then I started looking at images of Arizona. I mean, I had been here like one time for a pharmacy thing years before. And all these images of Sedona and the Red Rocks and the Grand Canyon, all this stuff started coming up. And I literally said, you should call it Rock Point Church.
Come on.
Point people to the rock.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, that's good, and wrote that down. And anyway, we get back and he's doing this and we're just helping like newsletters and fundraising and all this stuff. And in that process, I came home to Dina one day. I'm like, honey, I think we're supposed to go do this with him.
Wow.
And she said, hell no.
Yeah, she did. And I can see her saying that.
She said hell to the no. Like it was no. We're living at the beach. We came out of Central California, the hood. We're in beautiful Orange County.
Made it.
Our kids can play outside, like all these things.
Not anymore.
These blue ribbon schools, all this stuff. And she's like, no. And then, and I'm like, okay. I mean, maybe God has to call both of us, right? Like it can't just be me. And then Bill started making trips out here to check out the areas. And I'm like, hey, we should go with him one time. Mm-hmm. Just check it out. We should do our due diligence. And she said, no, not going. Then finally said, okay, we'll go. So we came out here on a trip. We drove out. We stayed in Peoria with his folks. And then Lynn Winters had recommended, you need to go check out like Southeast Valley, Southeast Gilbert, Queen Creek. It's all going to be growing and all this stuff.
You bet.
And we went out there and we saw this little community called Power Ranch. It's where we ended up all building our first homes, the 5 families. And we prayed in this park in Power Ranch. The park is still there. That this was it. This is what we're going to do. And then we went back. And at that weekend, my wife was still, no, it's hot here. I've been here once before and no. And that Saturday night before we went to sleep, she told me God would have to give me a heart transplant and a brain transplant.
Yes.
To even think about it.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay. So I prayed. We went to sleep. The next morning we get up, we're getting ready. Bill's mom's cooking us this amazing breakfast, and we're going to go back and pray in this park again. And Dina's acting all frustrated. And I'm like, and as a good husband, I'm like, what did I do? How did I make you mad? She's like, no, I'm mad at God. And I'm like, what? She goes, we're moving here. Dude, I just started crying. I'm just like, just wept. Like, what? Yeah, and then from that moment, we went back. Bill said, okay, sell your house. Okay. We did all that. We packed up, and 5 families, came out here. We landed here. I drove in that final time with the last moving truck because we helped every family get here with their trucks and put stuff in storage and all this stuff. And it was June 2001. I think June 21st or something. It was 121 degrees here.
Of course it was. Naturally.
We get into that little first house we rented, and Dina's sitting on a box going, you brought me to hell.
Aren't there like pictures of her holding onto the beach?
Oh, yeah.
You guys are
dragging her away. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. But
wow.
We leased a house, and all the families, we all lived together. We camped out together in this one house until our houses got done. I mean, it's crazy.
That's church planting.
Yeah. We started a Sunday night little Bible study in the community center, August. It grew to, 130, 150 people by the end of that year. We grand opened February 10th of 2002 in Higley High School.
Yes.
It was a brand new high school. I had kids that were there, and
it took off from there. So if you're listening and you are a church planter, or you have been thinking about church planting, or you're wondering what should I do next, or maybe you're a youth guy or a student's pastor, or wherever you're at in the church and you're wondering, is church planting for me? Maybe that's why you're watching this right now. I just want you to see yourself in Randy's story for a second. I remember sitting we had just remodeled my grandma's house in Oregon. And I had the vision already of maybe we'll plant a church. My wife was interested in planting. I was kind of hung up on like, I don't want to start over. We've been part of church plants. And I remember looking up churches and dying churches in Arizona. And I remember seeing this old building with no leadership, and they were looking for a lead pastor. I think the guy had aged out or something. Like, I don't even remember where exactly it was. And I remember trying to talk my wife into this. Like, maybe we can just take over a church. Like, maybe we should do that. And Lindsay said the same thing. She was like, you're going to get frustrated. I know what kind of a lightning rod leader you are. And you're just going to tick off that whole congregation.
Yep,
and you're looking at an asset, but you're not leaning into the call of God. And same thing as Bill. And it does come at a cost. church planting is super hard. Answer this question if you can. This may not even be in our notes, but why would you encourage young men and young women to choose to church plant rather than to take on these assets and all that? Because it does seem like a good opportunity. Why is church planting the answer in a season like that as opposed to what might seem more logical?
Yeah, I mean,
Leaving the beach, for instance.
Yeah, we're experiencing this over in the UK right now, where they're handing us properties and all that, and just need a pastor, and there might be a little remnant of people left. But you know, steering a ship that's an old ship that's been going, trying to steer it a different way, and it just does not work.
Yeah, say that.
But even if you are given something like that, or that opportunity came to you,
Yeah.
we've had some mergers.
Oh, yeah.
Around here, you don't merge. You kill the old.
Yes, it's dying.
It's dying. So you honor the legacy and you start over.
Come on.
New name, new brand, new look, new feel. Like it's happened all over Arizona as well.
This is why you bring the old dogs in who've done it.
Oh, I'm
because
old
I
dog
can
now.
never say that. But Randy will say that. That's, by the way, this is why young people need coaching, because you guys are not afraid to just say the truth.
No, right.
It's easier to birth a baby than it is to raise the dead.
Yes. Wow.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Answer me this question too. So related to this, there's a lot's happening at Rock Point. Rock Point's insane. Rock Point is a move of God. Like you guys just planted multiple churches. Brian Pacheco over at Flatiron. You planted Daniel, one of the teaching pastors, and now they're a mega. You planted a mega church.
Yes, we did.
And yet you guys haven't lost. You've sent hundreds, thousands that direction, but you haven't lost a thing. You've continued growing and are out of space already, even though you just built another area. Yeah. And so I guess my question is, why wouldn't you guys start Video Venue? You know, you could have 16 campuses by now, but you guys have chosen again and again to plant all these 40 churches. Why?
Yeah, I would say the Video Venue multi-site model, it's had its time. There are big, huge mega churches. You know, I think I can think of the first one, Fellowship in Texas, when it was sort of, they started it. And I have cousins that at the time lived in Plano, and we went and I got to experience one, you know, like one of their sites. And it was really cool. They have all live worship, all the stuff. And then the guy prayed, and when you opened your eyes, the big screen was down, and he looked like he was standing there. But, you know, it was like Disneyland, you know, kind of feel or whatever. And
Yeah.
And you know, I think it worked like in those moments of, hey, we've got 500 people that are driving from over there. We should go, you know, whatever. But the generation that's coming up behind me, behind you, I don't think that's going to last much longer. They want real. They want to see the guy. They want to talk to you in the lobby. They want to, and so, yeah, Bill's vision from the start, and mine as well, has been, we are not going to multi-site. Wow. We're going to plant churches. Now, any of them, at least in the last 4 years that we've been running our residency program, and you know, recently, like as you mentioned with Daniel, there's lots of Rock Point DNA in those churches.
You bet.
Of how they do things and how they plan their next steps and guest service, like all the things.
Everything.
But it's their identity, it's their name, their leadership, that kind of thing. Like Echoes is through Vision Arizona, the network, the ones that we personally coached, that we would call our daughters as well. They're the 14th one since we launched.
Wow. That's incredible, man.
Yeah. And so like we have all their plaques on the office wall. Like it's amazing. Like
what's going to be wild is to see the churches that you guys have planted plant other churches.
And the thing there was, we had to stay open-handed, not just kingdom-minded, but open-handed. Hey, Daniel, take 1,000 people.
Unbelievable.
Take annual giving of probably $1 to $1.5 million. Go. And,
that is crazy.
And awesome. We needed the room. It's already filling back up. You know, like
you can't outgive God, can you?
No, you can't. Like they're killing it. Yeah, like so proud.
Dude, we just want to honor you and honor Bill and honor all you guys who have been planting for so long, because we're the beneficiaries of that. And our churches and what God is doing, the baptisms and the new life and the marriage restoration, it wouldn't happen unless you guys had a vision to look outward, not just inward at our own castle, but outward at the kingdom of God. For sure. All right. So can you share what maybe some of the hurdles you guys have faced in that? Because this is a hard road.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to plant as a church planter, nor is it easy like to send out church plants. Like that requires a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
What are some of those challenges that you guys have faced?
Well, I mean, the top two are time and money, right? Sound familiar? Like it's time and money, right? But we knew we needed to move from addition to multiplication, right?
Okay.
Like I'm looking forward to our grandchildren plants, which will be happening soon. Like when they start planting, that kind of thing. Like with money, when this little group of guys got together and they knew they needed to raise money so they could fund plants and help get them started. I remember back in the days, like, man, if we could just give them $25,000, that would be huge, And now we're like, no, we need to give you like $150,000 or more. And so when Bill and I stepped in, they were doing an annual golf tournament.
Okay.
Spending all this time and energy and getting sponsors and booking the golf course and all the things and getting the merch printed and blah, blah, blah. And we would raise like $20,000 out of it.
Oh, dude.
And I was just like, this is not sustainable. Like,
ROI is not here.
No. And it was Converge National, and through Bruce started this whole give back. Like no matter what we funded you, it's not like we gave you a loan, but to be at the table and to stay in it together. And it used to be way back in the day, it was like 5%. You gave 3% to Converge and 2% to Church Planting National and 1% to your or something like that. I can't even remember. And then Lynn, Bruce, those guys got together and let's just do 1 and 1. You give 2% of your general tithes and offerings to the movement, 1% to Converge Southwest, 1 to Vision Arizona. And that's when the bank account started to grow.
Because the effectiveness of the church planters.
Everybody's giving. Everyone's part of it. Everyone's contributing. And it's a percentage. So there's churches like Rock Point, that's several $1,000s a month going into the pot. Crazy. Other little churches, it might be several $100s, but everybody's part of it and has skin in the game. And then, it's like, oh, we got $100,000 in the bank and 200 and 300 and 400. And we're able to now go, hey, here's $100,000.
And this is the power of a network, because now not only are we planting churches, but churches are working together to plant more churches.
Yeah.
I mean, we're beneficiaries of that, right?
Yeah.
As the Garden Church, we would not have been able to plant those as strong as we did and launch as strong as we did without the support that Vision Arizona planters, as well as big boys like Cornerstone and Rock Point and all these churches.
And it's not just
we
the
just
money.
Wouldn't been able to do it.
It's not just the money, as you know. It's the other thing was the relationship.
Okay, talk about coaching, friendship in church planting.
It's more than coaching, as you have experienced yourself.
Yeah.
Like, we're in this together. We'll get in the ditch with you. We will send people. We will, all of it. Like, we're in it together. And because it's also been easier proximity-wise, but now we got you guys way in the west, and then we've got east, and, we got Vision Yuma down there, and Vision Tucson happening down there. And, we got a mother church in the mountains now, like Vision Northern Arizona, or like they like to fondly call it Vision Hill Country. Like we're in it together. And that's why we do the gathering, so that we have time together and network together. The relational piece, I think it's what I would brag about most.
Come on.
About Vision Arizona over a lot of other networks that will hand you money.
Yes.
Get you a coach that you might get to talk to online once in a while, but we're right here. Like, we're all right here. And so the relational piece has been huge.
I think that's you can't overemphasize the importance of friendship, of coaching. Like, for us, we're even part of some networks that send money, and a previous church helped out a little bit.
Sure.
But like, without people in the trenches with you, without like we received coaching, I think once a month for a while there. When I first moved, it was like meeting with you guys, meeting with John Craigle up in North Phoenix, meeting with guys who were actually doing it makes such a big difference. It's one thing to watch videos too, like, oh, here's an interesting concept from some guy in New York, and it's totally different. It's another thing to be with people in Arizona and have a brotherhood, to take the thing you're struggling with that week and get on the phone and then meet for coffee, and he can give you real time, like, hey, in Arizona, you don't want to start in, we were just talking about this before the video, you don't want to launch your church in September because you're already behind the curve, or you need to be thinking about, in Arizona specifically, a fall launch is July or August, right? And that is not like that anywhere else in the nation. In fact, you talk to other people throughout the nation, and Arizona's on Arizona time. Like, we don't have daylight savings here.
We don't change. We're very Baptist. I mean, no.
He just
We don't change. No, I'm kidding.
It, bro. We just change the name and keep the theology. But man, I think that that's coaching. So in your years of coaching, if I can dive in a little bit about that, you've deeply invested in coaching other planters. Can you share a memorable coaching experience that affirmed your calling as a mentor?
Yeah. I was thinking about that.
Okay.
And there's so many stories, so many God stories, and he gets all the glory. But one in particular, so I'm at Exponential, the Exponential West in 2014 at Saddleback Church is being hosted there.
Awesome.
And I'm there with the Vision Arizona booth and the Converge National church planting booth side by side, and that kind of thing. And, taking advantage of the conference, trying to meet guys and all that. This guy walks up to the table, Jeff Goodman. He had started the Springs Church in Marana, down in Tucson area. And I'm like, oh, and we were joking about, I had to come all the way to California to meet a guy from Arizona, And I just said, and he co-planted with another guy, and the two of them were standing there. And I just said, hey, well, how's it going? He just started crying. He's like, it's not going to make it. I'm ready to quit. I can't do this anymore. Dude, I came around from the table. I gave him a big hug.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's your coach? Who's your tribe? Who are your people? He's like, nah, me. We moved out here from, the South, and just came out here and did this thing. And I'm like, you need people.
Come on.
Like, you can't do this alone.
Yes.
And I said, we exchanged information. I said, hey, when we get back, I'm coming to the Springs Church this Sunday. And so my wife and I, we went there. And Dean and I do this thing we call secret worship. Like, we've been doing it like almost every Sunday lately too, with our different plants and established churches or whatever. We just go and we're just a guest. And we just start evaluating the whole guest experience and what, and all that. And we went to his little church. It was in like Rattlesnake Elementary or something like that in Marana.
Only in Arizona.
And go in there, and they, they had the pipe and drape stuff and some banners, and it looked really good. The boy can preach.
Okay.
And the worship was okay. The kids area was pretty good. And so we're writing all this stuff, and everything. And then we always huddle up with the team, like over lunch after, and go, hey, completely out of love. Here's what was great. And here's what needs to change before next Sunday.
Yes.
And here's what you need to keep working on. Like,
right.
And we sat with this team and told them all these things. The next day, I get text messages of stuff he had already changed in their setup and different things. And then I'm like, okay, now when you go into 2 services? He thought I was crazy. And I go, because you don't go to extra services because you're out of room. You do it to grow. And provide other, as you're about to launch your 4th or whatever. Like, and he's like, 2? Oh, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, you got to go 2 services. He did, and boom, grew, like all these things, just the fruit of it. They did all the work, but whenever I was just at the Vision Tucson quarterly dinner last Thursday night, and I hosted it for them, and Jeff and I were on stage together, and he always shares the story of how I met this guy, Randy, at Saddleback, and and the Springs wouldn't be where it is today if I hadn't met Randy, but it's not about me. But yeah, I mean, there's so many stories like that where we're just, hey, let's do this together. Let me challenge you. this is what we know works. This is what we know does not work. You know, one of the key things with a planter, stay coachable.
Okay.
Stay teachable. Stay humble. Don't do it by yourself.
How have you seen, I'm going way off script. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
How have you seen coachability be a factor? Guys that are hungry versus guys that really struggle with the coaching side of it, or maybe it touches their insecurity and they fight back.
Teachability is everything.
Okay.
If you're not teachable, we're not going to plant with you. Go find someone else.
Yeah.
Not that we know it all, but look, you got guys here who are 25 years ahead of you, 20 years ahead of you, 10 years ahead of you, even just 5 years. We know how to plant churches in Arizona.
Yeah.
Like we know. I had a resident who recently he thought he knew. He had done it before. He had been part of a big church and did a multi-site mobile campus and all those things. And he'll tell you, yeah, I kind of came into this residency thing like, yeah, what are you guys going to teach me? You know, kind of thing. But and he had to find that humility and go and surrender to that and go, oh my gosh, you know, and now, you know, thriving. Like teachability is everything. You can have all the what we call the building blocks of a planter. You know, there are 13 building blocks. They're very well researched, all those things. But teachability is huge.
Without teachability, like the Bible portrays, like the whole text, well, talk about the Proverbs, buy wisdom, don't sell it, right? Like you guys traded $250,000 back in to get the coaching. Yeah. And would you ever go back on that decision?
No.
The money wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
The coaching was worth it.
Yeah.
The brotherhood.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
It's still worth it. And now we're the Vision Arizona lead team that was these couple guys is now this, you know, and is growing, and other guys will be on that soon. Hint, hint. It has to.
Wow.
Or it's not sustainable. Like I'm the old guy.
You don't look like the old guy.
We're in our 60s, you know, and the Bills and the Dave, they're in their 50s, and then you guys are the ones that
have half the energy you have today, let alone when I'm 60. What are the indispensable leadership principles that have guided you through building this movement? I think guys that are watching stuff like this, they're just hungry for leadership stuff. Give me some of that.
Yeah, I mean, Bill put this stuff together years ago. We call it C4 Leadership.
C4 Leadership, baby.
C4 Leadership, yeah. Now there's an energy drink called C4 that's
sponsored by C4.
Yeah,
in fact, I expect C4s at the next podcast
I
episode.
know, we need to do that. But yeah, you know, looking at, and he assimilated all this we did from all kinds of things that we were learning. From Maxwell and Groeschel and all the guys, but really it comes down to you defining what a leader is. What is a leader, right? And so we did that, and then you look at calling and competency and commitment and character. I mean, one of the things I tell guys all the time in the beginning, you know this already as well, we got fooled by competency a lot. People coming along, they want to be part of your launch team. They have all this stuff they can bring. They're bragging about what they can do for you.
Should be a red flag, but it's attractive.
Flag. Yeah.
When you're desperate.
You need stuff
people,
done. Yeah. And then a character issue starts to rise up because we didn't check that, you know. I remember being at one of your preview services at the Garden.
Okay.
And you were very clear to the churchy people in the room.
Yeah.
Because they come.
They're there.
Right? The church hoppers are there, right? The shuffling sheep, they're there. They're there. And you start talking about if you're here because you're looking for a platform, there are no platforms here. I'm like, that's money.
And we lost some people that we needed to lose.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody comes up, hey, can I preach? I feel called to preach. It's like, it's interesting because when Jesus is calling me to have you preach, then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
But
next time that call comes in, don't answer the phone.
I'll just send forward to Randy Deal, you know?
Yes. No. But those like the calls from the God, of course.
Yes.
There's some competencies can be learned. There's something we can teach you some of these things. Commitment is commitment to the church, to the vision, to each other. That's where chemistry comes in and all of that. But character is everything. And
indisputably, character is the foundation.
It trumps competency and commitment every day.
How do you, as a church leader identify people with character?
Well, when we filter all of our leadership development, staffing, hires, everything through the C4,
Yeah.
right? And you're right. Sometimes you can't see character things until you get to know somebody or they land or whatever. But we can look at, back to that teachability thing. Are they humble, right? We can look at how they lead their own life.
Come on.
Their own personal life, right? We can look at that.
First Timothy has something to say about that.
Yeah, right. There's some biblical requirements of what a leader looks like, and are they doing the things that you're asking every church person to do? In Rock Point world, are they knowing, growing, and going? Are you doing that?
Like, are they a servant?
Yeah.
The best leaders first are followers.
Yes.
And I've noticed that at Rock Point, some of your best leaders are like the guy who's leading your maintenance team or whatever, or your facility team.
Yeah.
The dude's rock solid. And it's that humility that you're looking for, not for the person who's, hey, I have all this knowledge, wisdom, you really need me.
Right.
But hey, do they come in humbly and start serving right away?
I was the
and start
executive
giving?
pastor, and at Higley High School, I cleaned the bathrooms. I scrubbed every toilet every week. I'm not doing this. I'm just saying,
No.
you want to lead here?
You want to be a
Serve.
movement leader in Vision Arizona?
Yeah.
Are you scrubbing the toilets on Sunday at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
while we're setting up?
Yeah.
That's everything right there.
Yeah.
All right, man. There's so much I could dive into. What's something that you want to hit? That you got all these leaders listening. I feel like I'm the student here. I'm hosting. What's something that for a young leader they need to be thinking right now? Like, hey, before I plant, I need to be thinking through this.
Again, the call is going to come from God. And the call is when you're at a place in your life, in your family, in your marriage, whatever, where this is where we all were. We cannot not do this. We have to. Like, it would literally be sin if we didn't. We cannot not do this. Okay, so the call is there. And then it's find your tribe. Get a coach. Get a coach, get a coach, get a coach, get a coach. Get a coach in your context. Get a coach who knows.
A coach across the nation is not the same.
I mean, principles,
Good.
system stuff, whatever.
Not against
but
it.
But it's not contextual. And not even just one coach, but coach it. That's one of the beauties of Vision Arizona. You get the whole room. You get access to anybody. I mean, you're assigned some coaches, but you have access to everybody. Get in a cohort, get around the other guys. Again, find your people. We tell planters all the time, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you do not know.
You do not know what you do not know.
That's terrifying.
It is.
It should be.
But we know.
Yeah.
Submit to that. And we don't have it all. We don't always get it right, but I'm saying we know. You're not going to get it all from books and podcasts, although this is an amazing one. You know what I mean? You can read all the stuff, but yeah, get with the guys they're just right before you.
Yeah.
In the journey. They're just right before you. And again, like we talked about earlier, it's that teachability. Be a sponge, man. Just take it all in and then make it yours. But don't do it alone.
What would you say to the person who so this is beautiful advice for the church planter. There may be some guys who are in the trenches and struggling, or maybe part of why they're even exploring church planting is because they've seen so much difficulty where they're at. Like whoever it was you were talking about earlier that was struggling in tears. How would you encourage someone who's on the other end of the spectrum really struggling right now? They don't know what to do, and they're saying, I'm about to tap out. What would you have for them? Because you've picked up a few of those guys too.
Well, if you're a ministry leader right now, a pastor right now, and you're serving in a church right now, and you're frustrated with that and that church and all of that, that is not a good reason to go plant your own.
Good.
Don't do that. Again, if the call to plant is on you, then you have to go do that. And then all the things I just said, like don't do it alone and all those things. I would say, man, don't give up. Don't give up. We just launched Echoes, right?
Yes.
January. And there were times in Daniel's residency year where I'd be sitting with him and it'd be like, I would ask him, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
Church planting will be the hardest thing you ever do in your entire life.
100%.
You have said to the enemy,
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to the front line.
Yep.
You're on the front line. You're not in the back. You're like in the Old Testament where they sent the worship leaders up front, right? Like you're in the front
Yes.
and you're saying, no, I'm willing to attack the gates of hell with a squirt gun
Yes.
because people need Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona is the 13th most irreligious state in the union.
Yep.
74% unchurched.
Mm-hmm.
The 8th fastest growing state in the union.
Yes.
So we already had a huge job to do. There were already many unchurched that need the Lord. God's sending more people here.
Mm-hmm.
So we need even more churches.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be naive about it.
Mm.
There was a decade or so there for a while where church planting was like the sexy thing to do.
It was trendy.
It was the trend, yeah.
Not anymore.
And where are those guys?
Yeah.
It's
Dead
not,
on the side of the road.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a point where Daniel asked me, do you think I could do this?
Mm.
Absolutely. And there were times where, like they were prepping for Christmas. And first they weren't going to do a Christmas service because our grand opening is January. Then they were. And the RSVPs are piling in. He's like, oh man, we're at 500 people.
this.
Now there's 1,000.
What do I do?
One of the texts says, I'm going to die. I'm like, you're not going to die.
Yes.
You guys are going to be fine. But it's hard.
Yes.
It's super hard. You are, and for guys like you, the lead pastor, you have a great staff. You got lots of people around you.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell Bill this all the time, nobody carries the weight of the full mantle of the garden except you. Like just you. There's your wife and your family, but you individually. Nobody will ever understand it. They never will. But that's the call that God placed on you. And so you have to take it. And you've said, I mean, you left your home state. You left everybody. You came to the desert. I know what that feels like. But you couldn't not do it.
Yes. That's calling.
Yeah.
You have to dig deep and say, Lord, did you call me?
Yeah.
And by the way, if he called you, it's an obedience issue at that point.
That's exactly right.
Are you going to dig deep and trust the Lord?
Yeah.
I mean, we preach this every Sunday.
Yeah.
But do we believe it?
Right.
Do we trust him? No one else is coming in this generation.
Right.
It's not like C.S. Lewis is going to show up resurrected from the dead. I'm going to plant the churches and explain the gospel in this context and teach the Bible and win the souls. It's like God used C.S. Lewis then. Now he's got you.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with that?
Your Charles Spurgeon bookcase, and they're not going to come to life. He's not coming
dead.
back.
I sometimes wish he
No,
would.
it's us.
It's us.
Yeah. And the other thing is, and that's why we have to focus. Like again, we're the old guys. We're passing this off to you guys, and then you're going to keep passing it off. Like,
Yes.
I mean, if all of Arizona knows the Lord, I guess we'll be done.
Yeah.
But that's not happening anytime soon. So
We're only 74% of the population away.
yeah.
Randy, this has been such a helpful and important conversation. I can't wait till we do the next one, man. Thank you for driving all the way to the West Valley into the middle of the real desert.
Hey, you bought me coffee, man. That's all. That's all it took. No.
Appreciate you, bro. And I think this is going to be so helpful for so many young planters, for people that are church leaders. And man, you're a legend. Thank you so much.
Oh man, thank you. Yep, my pleasure.
Awesome.
Yep.